One of the things that surprised me during the Munich Security Conference was a remark made by German foreign minister. He called on Europe to get closer to BRICS, of all things, and he said it's wrong for Europe to alienate itself from BRICS countries. He said we have a lot in common with countries like India, Brazil. Why not focus on those? And he referred to this as, quote unquote, the new view. So it is quite stunning, I think, to hear that because this must be a very unpopular opinion among European politicians who still view themselves as a garden and the rest of the world as a jungle. So is this an example, is German foreign minister's commentary, is this an example of sort of you can't beat them, so join them? Or is Europe just sort of trying to give this engagement a try because it sees itself as a Trojan horse that seeks to sort of destroy the rise of the global majority?
Yeah, these are all wonderful questions, Lena, but there's probably a little bit of all of those. But if we look at the statistics of trade, Europe depends on imports from Asia just as the United States does. United States still, with all this Trumpism, still imports half a trillion from China. It diminished a little bit, but it still does. Now, Europe, the same thing too. They import from China, from Indonesia, from India. So now they're trying to diversify. So this free trade with India, you know more about it than I do, in my opinion, is just an attempt to diversify their Asian imports, which they need desperately. And it's also an attempt to sort of bypass their isolation from on Russia on the one side, United States on the other side. So you make an opening to those that are still available, such as Latin America and India. But those two actually go counter to what Trump wants, because free trade with Latin America would undercut Trump's claim that the Western Hemisphere is exclusively for the United States to exploit. Europeans, if they have a free trade with Latin America would much rather sell it to the Europeans than to Americans because they don't have to pay any tariffs. Same thing with India. What in practice it could mean is that India buys Russian oil and has a free trade agreement and sells it free without any tariffs to the Europeans. So it's a win-win for everybody. The Europeans buy it from India, not from Russia. Russia sells it to India. India makes money, sells it to European. Everybody's happy. And that's a way to present it as if they freed themselves from Russian oil and Russian gas. Here's the reality. The reality is that Europe cannot survive without Russian oil. They buy it in a variety of ways and others. It's simply because it's cheaper, not because it's any better or whatever. It's just cheaper because Russia is closer and because Russian labor costs are cheaper than any other, than the American one or the European ones. So if Europe wants to remain a secondary, I'm not talking the first, the secondary industrial power in the world, it has to buy cheap energy. It has to have good education, which it still does. It's okay. Produce engineers and restore its industry. The way things are going now doesn't look like they're capable of doing it. It might, there's still a chance if they do the right things, they might be still able to. But what the Ursula von der Leyen's policy is exactly the opposite. That's why the Russians are saying they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're making it worse for themselves. And the data I quoted many times in today's show speaks for itself. 20% reduction in industrial capacity of every one of those. I checked France, I checked Italy, I checked England. Overall, all of them are declining, only at a different rate, but it still is declining. So that's the reality. Listen, I repeat over and over all the time, we are in a historical change of a paradigm. For the first time in 500 years, Europe is no longer the center of the universe. It has shifted first to the United States, and now it's not shifting. It has already shifted to Asia, to China, India, Indonesia. These are the big three. in Asian theater. That's where industrial capacity is moving, and also know-how and innovation and robotics and microchips and you name it. They are already the leader in many of those fields. Now, I had a show, had a program in my channel about a month ago. And what I found, comparing United States and China, what I found is my listeners don't like it. They don't like to listen to reality because it's very painful to realize that the United States, the mightiest country in the world on paper, is no longer that. The train has left the station. It's only a matter of who, when they're going to realize it, that both the United States and Europe are in decline. And as Emmanuel Todd puts it, in terminal decline. I wouldn't say terminal, but definitely in decline. Russia is gaining more from China and right now. And this is one of the good reasons why it has absolutely no interest in attacking Europe. What is there in Europe? There's nothing there. What is there? Resources? What? Territory? Russia has plenty of territory. What? There's absolutely nothing Russia is interested in Europe, unlike in previous times. This is why, one has to realize it's a historical shift. Again, what I said in one of my videos, for the first time in 300 years since Peter the Great, Russia is not interested in Europe anymore because there's nothing there for them. Because anything that it needs is in the East. Trade, resources, know-how, development. That's incredible. That's new.